Welcome, Lieutenant Governor. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is only the second time as Lieutenant Governor I've ever asked to ask a few questions. It's a highly unusual circumstance, is it not?
It sure is, sir. It sure is.
Really unusual circumstance.
A very unusual circumstance.
You would testify to that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because I believe Senator Hughes did make that point earlier that under the rules that you can correct and reprice under an unusual circumstance.
I think it has to be a mistake, sir. I really...
No, wait a minute. What's the rule, Senator? Can you repeat the rule?
Thanks, Governor Patrick. It's 9.5.12. Let me make sure I'm reading it correctly. It's 9.5.12. It's titled Suspension of Issuing Settlement Statements for the Real-Time Market. Sub 1 says the ERCOT Board may direct ERCOT to suspend the issuance of any settlement statement for the RTM to address unusual circumstances.
So you just said 3 times this is an unusual circumstance.
Yeah, I don't know that that's what that is for, but I'll have to look into that provision you're citing, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, we talked earlier this week. I just want to, for the record, I was very respectful.
It was a delightful phone call.
Delightful phone call?
It was delightful.
I was sympathetic to your position.
You were?
I'm still sympathetic to your position.
Thank you.
You seem like a very nice person.
Stuck in the middle.
I give you credit, stuck in the middle. You seem like someone who really wants just to get the truth out.
Yes, sir.
I think it's been a big burden on your shoulders, hasn't it?
I'm kind of excited by it. This is important work, and it's bigger than all of us. And I'm really happy for a chance to make it up to Texans and restore their faith in government and in my agency. So it is a burden, but I've really enjoyed the last few weeks.
Well, you're one of the few that's enjoyed the last few weeks. I wouldn't call
enjoy might be overstating it a bit, but I'm energized by the chance to fix this.
Yeah. So before you testified today, did anyone prepare you for this morning or this afternoon?
Before I testified today, did anyone prepare?
This morning. I watched most of it. Prepared by anyone?
I have not. I talked to a bunch of people about testimony today.
And who would that be?
I talked to. I went to. Oh gosh, hold on. Let me check my calendar or my appointment log. I've talked, sir. I've been talking to nothing but senators and legislators for. I mean, consider that my job now is to go from office to office and talk to people, and so it's. It's constant, but I can get you a list of everyone I visited. I have appointments.
Anyone in the governor's office?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Today or yesterday?
I went up there today to kind of chill between this and that for a bit.
Okay. Anyone in the speaker's office?
I have a friend there that I've been texting, but it was mostly just fun.
Anyone in our office today? We haven't had any conversation, have we?
No, I talked to Lauren for a bit, but again, that was just fun, small talk.
I haven't talked to you.
No, sir.
My chief of staff hasn't talked to you.
I haven't talked to David, no.
Okay. I'm a little confused, and again, I greatly appreciate that you're the last guy standing because you could have stepped away, and the governor would have had to appoint someone very quickly. And I know he wants to take his time and appoint someone so we can, get this person confirmed before session ends to be chair. So he's appointed you chair. So I appreciate you staying.
Thanks, sir.
But I have to be candid with you. I just don't know what to believe. You have to help me with this.
Okay.
You said earlier in your testimony in the House today that the LCRA told you they were going bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
You said they told you they were going bankrupt.
I said that I was told that if one of the repricings in that letter, they'll go bankrupt. Yeah.
And who told you that?
I talked to Phil Wilson on the phone.
Okay. Are you aware they put out a press statement today? They said they never told you that?
I saw that, and I think I tried to think of what he said, and I think what he said was, we'll never recover from that. And maybe I am sorry if I misinterpreted that. What I heard him say was, if you reprice ancillary services, we lose, he said, some amount of money, and we will never recover from that.
So you are an attorney.
I'm not trying to give you a lawyerly answer, sir.
No, I'm asking you. You're an attorney.
Yes, sir.
And you know what it means to testify before the legislature.
Yes.
And you know you should not say things that aren't true.
I will check the transcript. I don't think I said anything not true except to change.
Did you say this morning that they would go bankrupt? I heard you say it, I think.
I think that's what we won't recover from that means. That's what it meant to me.
Well, are you supposed to say what things mean to you or what someone said?
I don't remember his exact words, sir.
Well, I can tell you what he said, or the agency said, that they never told you that. In fact, they said, if you repriced, and I don't call this repricing, by the way. I call it correcting a mistake and doing the right thing. He said they would actually make money if you did that on one side and lose a little bit on the other. That's far from going bankrupt.
I would love to verify with him, because what I heard him say was, if you do both, I'll be okay. If you just reprice energy, my preference is just reprice energy, but that's probably untenable because you do piecemeal repricing. If you do both or neither, I'm okay. If you reprice AS, we will lose some massive number and I'll never recover.
But are you questioning their release today that said they...
No, I suspect that what I just told you he will repeat, and that this is just some kind of miscommunication.
So why did you say that today to the House that they would go bankrupt?
I said if we do one of the repricings in that letter, because that's on the table. Right now we're talking about them kind of independently and back and forth. There's plenty of scenarios where we end up doing one of those and they will never recover from that.
Mr. Chairman, you had important testimony today that the House hung their hat on much of what you said, which is now much of what you said this morning was not true. It was speculation. It was exaggeration.
It's not exaggeration, sir.
Well, wait a minute. If he said they would go bankrupt, then you would have been accurate. But they felt so strongly about it, because I'm sure it worried their customers. Your testimony worried their customers. They would not have put out a press release that said, we never talked to you. That's what it says. And furthermore, we never said they'd go bankrupt. Let's just move on.
I have my cell phone right here. Phil Wilson's, the call is on the cell phone. Of course I talked to him. I had a meeting.
So the agency, the
lawyer didn't know.
Let's just go back to the point. You said they'd go bankrupt. They said they never told you that. So that testimony you gave today in the House was incorrect, correct?
I disagree. I don't think there's any space between we will never recover from that and we will go bankrupt.
So you disagree with their press release today. The other thing you said today that I listened to very closely, you said, if we correct the price, that, it may impact futures of other products in Texas and maybe even cattle, I think you said. Mm-hmm. But here a few moments ago, let me read what you said a few moments ago. You said that you heard that, but you don't know if it's true. So why would you testify in the House something, again, that I'm sure impacted those members? My goodness, if you correct the price, it could impact cattle and farming and ranching in Texas. And here today, you testify later, well, I heard that, but I can't say it's true. Why would you do that? You're a lawyer.
Sir, I am repeating what ICE told me. It was very clear in both conversations.
So, but you told the House one thing, and over here you changed your position. You said, you said, I don't know. Over there you said you did.
I said I heard ICE say that this is what ICE told me.
Okay. But over here you said you weren't sure if that's true. Okay, so my point is, you're making a statement over there that people are going to say, well, gosh, if we correct the price, that could impact. You don't know that, do you? Do you know it? Not what you were told. Do you know that factually?
It's a prediction about the future, sir. Of course I can't know that.
Okay. You also said over there this morning that none of this money would go to consumers. That's what you said this morning. You said,
correct.
You were asked, correct? You said that.
That's right.
Okay. Ms. Bivens said today that $5 billion, I think her exact quote, would go to entities, that dollars would go to entities that serve consumers.
Right.
So if $5 billion goes to entities that serve consumers, is it not true that it would go to consumers?
That's correct. It will not go to consumers. It goes to the entities.
It goes to the entities that serve consumers.
Right, and they pocket it.
They
Give it to their shareholders.
Do you know that for a fact?
I work in this market, yes, I know that for a fact. They have fixed contracts with those consumers.
So if they don't get that money, might they have to pass on to the consumers they serve their loss?
They might try, but it's a very competitive space, and those consumers can shop and leave and go switch to a different plan. That's the feature of the market.
So they might try to pass on their consumers.
They may try. I don't think
So
they'll
your
succeed.
testimony in the House today that this wouldn't impact consumers is not really accurate.
I think it's accurate, sir.
I think it's accurate. Okay. I want to go to the first day of that Monday when you had that hearing.
Okay.
In the transcript, the then chairperson said, some people, I think it may have been some friends, but I think some people in ERCOT told me we should go to 9,000. Do you know who those people were?
I only know who briefed me, sir. I never
Pardon?
talked to them. I know who briefed me, ERCOT, and it was Kanan and Chad, who's their general counsel, and there may have been a third ERCOT staffer, but I don't remember.
Okay. You voted to go with the $9,000, correct?
I did, yes.
Did it occur to you, since it was such a serious issue as you've said, did it occur to you to ask the chairman, can you tell us who those people are? So that you know who was advising her? Because it was a significant issue.
It did not occur to me. I voted my own conscience based on the data I had, and I took the vote. I wouldn't ask a colleague who's advising them on their vote, no.
On that Monday, pretty much everyone that could come on board was on board, correct? With power?
I don't think that's accurate. I think as Bill described it was what I understood, was that people were coming on and off all the time. It was it wasn't just everyone and it was stable. It was more this, up and down, people coming on and off.
So why didn't you let the market be the market instead of pushing the price to
The
$9,000?
market was killing people. That's why. The market was killing people in their homes, and I had lost faith in it. And every decision we made at that point forward was to get the lights on.
So you pushed the price to $9,000.
We did. We pegged it at $9,000, which is where I think everyone expected it to be.
Right. And the order for that $9,000 ended at 11:55 on Wednesday night, right before Thursday morning, correct?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out here, sir, is whether it's, whether that order, the extension of that order was correct or not. I think it was the right call.
Okay. The right call or correct? Did it follow procedure? The order ended, and the order ended because we were no longer in load shed, correct?
Well, that's the question, does industrial load shed count? And this was a new thing.
Were we in load shed?
Yes, we were shedding industrial load.
At midnight?
For the next many days, we still had industrial load that was off. We weren't in residential load shed, and I grant you that's how we always thought of load shed in the past, was residential. But
So those rules changed this time as well?
a lot was different about this time. I don't know that the rule changed.
Because it was an unusual circumstance.
Nice.
Yes, it was an unusual circumstance.
I'll give you that.
So that night, you testified earlier that Ms. Walker went to Taylor, and when you woke up the next morning, you called Bill Magnus.
Yes.
You talked to me about that on the phone. Do you remember what you shared with me on the phone that day?
No, I don't.
Do you remember telling me in real time it was a mistake and the wrong decision? Do you remember telling me that?
I think that was my impression. I woke up that morning and said, this economically makes no sense. It is the wrong decision.
But you told me this past Tuesday.
Right. That's exactly what I said.
And when we talked on the phone Tuesday, you didn't tell me anything about Bill's concern about industrials coming on On Thursday, did you?
I feel like I've told this story a million times in the last couple of weeks, sir, and it's the same version. I woke up, I thought my chief of staff was panicked and thought, this makes no economic sense, this is wrong, you got to get on this. And I said, let me check, I think it's probably a mistake. And I called Bill and he talked me down and I got comfortable with it. And I realized they were trying to keep the lights on because it was cold outside.
Okay. But I'm the lieutenant governor of the state of Texas, and I called you to get clarity, and you said I was very respectful, very nice. I'm trying to be nice today. I'm just trying to, although, get you to be consistent in your testimony, because we're going to make a decision, or the governor's going to make a decision, and we have to have someone we think is credible. And you say things in the morning, and you say things in the afternoon that are totally different. It's hard to really accept you as a credible witness. And so I'm saying to you, when I talk to you, and I believe you had the same conversation with another senator, and you didn't say to me, and I have two ear witnesses because you know my chief of staff and my senior advisor are on the call because you were using that phone. I have two witnesses that would testify exactly what you said to me. You said in real time it was a mistake and it was the wrong decision to keep prices artificially at $9,000 because the order expired the night before. You didn't tell me anything that Bill Magnus told you about anything else, nor did you tell that other senator, to my knowledge. Don't you think you would have had an obligation to explain that to me, since I asked you to explain?
I told you about this. I told you Bill Magnus. I told you I called him. I told you he explained this to me and set me straight.
Sir?
Did I not tell you that? Or really? What part did I not tell you? I'm really trying to get to this. I've told this story so many times.
You told me you called Bill Magnus.
Okay.
And you told him it was a mistake.
Okay.
And we should have gone to normal prices, or we shouldn't be at $9,000. And you didn't say a word of anything Bill Magnus said back to you.
It wouldn't have ended there if I thought it was a mistake. I would have intervened, and we would have had to take a vote at the commission to ratify it. I mean, that's why I didn't take another step, is because Bill convinced me.
Okay, so let me just stop there for a second. You said earlier that this decision, you didn't take a vote for a new order, did you?
No, I was convinced that it was correct, so there was no need.
So there's no need to take an official order when one order ends, so that Bill Magnus on his own makes a decision to go to $9,000, which at a net cost Texas taxpayers $5 billion when we had 16,000 megawatts in reserve?
I thought he made the right decision, so there was no need. He correctly interpreted.
So if someone makes a right decision you're talking to on staff, there's no need to have an official vote.
He correctly interpreted our existing order, so I don't think we need another vote.
No, there were no existing orders.
It was our original.
No, wait a minute. Question.
Right, yeah.
At the time he made that decision, which he owns up for, there were no existing orders.
There was our original order setting it at 9,000 until load shed.
And it expired at 11:55.
There was still industrial load shed. That's what was explained.
No. You didn't. That sounds really good. It expired at 11:55. There was no order in place. Correct?
No, I thought when he
It's an answer.
explained his
It's an
interpretation
easy.
of my order,
Help me, Mr. Chairman. It's an easy yes or no. Was there an order in place
Yes.
after the one that expired at 11:55?
it didn't expire.
It didn't expire. It was supposed to go back to prices, right? No. Because the system was in balance, right?
It was not. It was ambiguous because
You can look at the charts. So is Miss Bivens wrong? Is Carrie Bivens wrong? She's the best witness I've heard in 4 days of hearings.
She's a fantastic person, and
You trust her?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, she's really smart.
She's very smart.
Steadfast. No one on this committee could shake her. What did she say to you? It was a mistake.
I was not on that phone call, but she thought it was a mistake. I knew that. Bill told me that. He said Carrie didn't agree with this, but I did, and the chair endorsed it, and that was.
But you didn't have a vote on going to 9,000. You just went on his word. At the end of my phone call, you said something else. Because I said to you, I said, I know you're in a tough spot. I know you're in a tough spot. And You said to me, I agree with your view. I said, you need to fix this. You need to do what's right. You said, I said, Mr. Chairman, you're in a tough spot. I hope you'll do what's right to correct this mistake, clearly a mistake.
I had just taken a vote not to correct it. I did not agree with your view. I thought that.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. You said on the phone with two witnesses listening, I agree with your view, and that you're already talking to lawyers and staff to figure out how to make the correction. That's what you told me Tuesday morning.
I never told you I agreed with that. I told you that I had talked to staff.
Wait a minute. Be very careful of what you're saying. You didn't tell me and two other witnesses.
I told you that I was talking to lawyers to make sure this was legal.
Did you tell me you agreed with me?
And I told you I was talking to ICE to see if they could minimize fallout if we had to do that.
You did not talk to me about ICE, but you said you agreed with my view that we needed to correct this. You were talking to your lawyer.
I may have agreed with some view you were espousing, but it was not to correct this.
You may have agreed with some view of mine?
I don't know. I don't have the context of what you had said immediately prior to me saying.
Well, we had a pretty good conversation.
It was a great conversation.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
And I was very understanding and very patient. And I said, this is wrong. And you said to me, yes. In real time, it was a mistake. And we should not have gone to $9,000. And I said, you need to correct it. I want you to correct it. It has to be right. We have to do the right thing. You talked about winners and losers here at the table. You don't want to create winners and losers. That's not your job. Your job is to do the right thing. Senator Johnson here said earlier that why are we wasting our time if no money changed hands? And money changed hands somewhere. They're going to be there if you do what you should do. And it's not repricing. It's just correct an error, correct a mistake. It's follow the rules of unusual circumstances. We've already heard testimony from Ms. Bivens, again, the best witness I've heard, that the markets understand this. You've already testified. They understand it. We know everyone on the boards, Chairman Huffman said earlier, everyone on the boards in the industry, they know this can happen. You said, I agree with you. And then today on the floor, they asked you the question. They said, do you agree with the letter from the senators? Mm-hmm. And you said, I disagree, but it's a close call. What's a close call mean?
I've said a bunch of times I flip-flopped on this. I voted on it Friday, and I talked to you shortly after. But before my decision on Friday, I thought it was a close call. That's what I mean. I think this is for me, it was a tough question about whether I have legal authority and whether we should do it. And
don't you think it's already been established in testimony from Mrs. Bivens that you have clear legal authority to do it?
I think she's an economist, sir. I don't think she was opining about my legal authority.
I think she was very clear that you could do it. If the governor of Texas asked you to correct the error, this is not repricing. We're not going back to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and asking to go from 9,000 to 4,000. Whether we think you all did the right thing on Monday or not, that's established, and we'll get through that as a legislature and figure out not to put this burden on the backs of the people of Texas. But on Thursday and Friday, it's repricing. We're asking you to correct a mistake. Gosh, I've heard you testified earlier today. Oh yeah, I said it was a mistake. Right? You've said it to others. Right?
At the time, I thought it was a mistake, and then I called Bill, and he talked me down.
Yeah. So when did Bill talk you down?
It was that morning. The morning I woke up, I saw the market notice. I talked to my chief of staff.
That's the conversation you didn't tell me or another senator that you had with him. You never said that. So here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line, Mr. Chairman. The governor issued an not an executive order, an emergency item at 8:48. 2 nights ago, I think it was. So we put together a really good, thorough hearing with 3 witnesses, not 1, for 6 hours, not an hour and a half, with 2 and 3 sides of the story. And it's pretty clear to me that a mistake was made. You all made a mistake. You could say it was a mistake in judgment. It was a mistake of not following the rules.
I made a lot of mistakes that week, but not a mistake as defined by those ERCOT protocols that allow me to reprice. And I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't make mistakes. Obviously, we all did, and yeah.
But you told me on Tuesday it was a mistake. So last question. You told me on Tuesday it was a mistake. And you agreed with me when I said we need to correct this. Did you tell me the truth or not tell me the truth when you talked to me on?
Sir, there's no way that I agreed with you that we needed to correct this. There's no way I would have done that. I mean, this whole thing is because I don't agree with you that we need to correct it. It's why it generated a letter from every senator but 3. If I agreed with you, I would not be suffering this pain right now, right? I wouldn't have had to go through this. It would be very easy if I agreed with you. I don't. I'm sorry. I think it's a close call. I don't think you're acting in bad faith. I think people of good faith can disagree on this question. I just disagree that I have the authority to change it, and I don't think it helps consumers.
I'm sorry, it doesn't help what?
Consumers.
Yeah. So this 46 billion that Carrie Bivens testified earlier, that's going to flow through the market, 46 billion.
It goes
and it will net down, just like the 16. And by the way, you said earlier today in the House the 16 billion was wrong. She testified today the 16 billion wasn't wrong. That's what the total impact was on the market. After she went through the accounting, it was about 5 billion that dollars will go to entities that will impact consumers. Overall, this cost is 46 billion to her before she does the accounting, but it's going to be in the billions. And so you're perfectly happy then as the chair to say that even though we had 16,000 watts of reserve on Thursday, even though the market, if you had just taken it back to normal, which you should have done when the rule ended, at 1 week became in balance, the system was in balance, and we were adding a reserve, and for 32 hours, you kept the price at $9,000.
Yes, to keep the lights on because people were...
The lights were on.
Because we had the price at $9,000.
Pardon?
Because we had the price at $9,000, sir.
Yes, and the 9,000 helped get the lights on, and at midnight that night, as testimony here by Mr. Magnus and yourself, we were in balance. And there may have been some people without power, but we were back in balance, and we were building a reserve. And we built it through the morning, and we built it through the day. And the price kept going at $9,000. So I don't know what the governor is going to decide. If he called you and said, based on the testimony of this great committee work by these senators and the chairman, I've decided I think it's clear it was a mistake. Or the governor says, based on the rules, this is an unusual circumstance. I want you to correct. Would you do it?
I don't think I have the legal authority to do it. Now,
so you serve at the pleasure of the governor, and it's pretty clear the rules give you that authority. And even if the governor of the state of Texas told you to correct this error and this mistake or respond to unusual circumstances, are you saying that you would not obey that?
I've worked for him for a decade, and he has never asked me to do something that I thought was illegal. Never.
No, we're not asking you to do something that's illegal. Carrie Bivens didn't say it was illegal. No one has said it's illegal.
I think it's illegal, and he has, the first thing he told me when I came to work for him is we are not doing anything illegal.
Yeah. That was my last question to you. You just brought this back up. They went through this with you in the House this morning. Richard Raymond asked you this question. You said, it would be illegal for me to do it. And he said, did you say illegal? Would you go to jail if you did this?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. Well, then it's not illegal. I mean, if you're going to jail. You know what your answer was? Do you remember your answer this morning?
Civil violation.
Yeah, you said, I could civil. Well, we're all going to get sued, but civil. So I don't understand, as PUC chair, when it's very clear The rules say you can make a correction. Bill Magnus said if there's a correction in software, computerware, or if we make a mistake, or if there's unusual circumstance, the rules say you can make that. You can make that change. So you would, okay, so you wouldn't even agree with the governor. And I don't think the governor would ask you to do anything illegal, but he would not have asked for us to have this hearing to look at incorrect billing if he thought it was illegal, because there would have been no point to have all these hearings if at the end of it, the evidence was that it was a mistake, that it was an error, and at the end there wasn't anything you could do about it.
You can act. You're the legislature. I can't act. I'm a bureaucrat. You get all sorts of things done that I can't do.
Well, you're on a tight deadline to do that, and I don't know that we can get a bill passed and filed and get it out of here in time to meet those deadlines, but I believe, Madam Chair, it's pretty established he can do that. So thank you for your time. I did not mean to go so long, but you, again, I think you're a very nice person in a very tough spot, and the first principle of all of this is do what is right. And the right thing is to correct an error and a mistake, especially in unusual circumstances. Thank you for service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Thank you, Governor, for participating with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.